My name is Cary Denison. I work for Trout Unlimited in the Denison Basin. I'm a Denison Basin project manager. Trout Unlimited is a nationwide conservation organization whose base is over 150,000 volunteers. Our focus is on restoring, protecting, and conserving our cold water resources across the nation to protect wild trout for future generations. In my work here in the Denison Basin, I primarily work with agricultural water users on water infrastructure improvements, and I do a little bit of water policy work. And I serve on the Denison Basin Roundtable. I've been in that role for 13 years now. Our organization is focused on a lot of water quality work. My work isn't particularly focused on that, but parts of my organization tackle things like mine remediation and abandoned mine reclamation work and watershed restoration work that deals with controlling sediment passage in rivers, restoring floodplains to make sure that we're having better water quality for not just fish, but other water users. Certainly in agricultural water use, reducing deliveries to agriculture can have a benefit to the system in the Gunnison Basin, because a lot of the salt in the Colorado River system comes out of the Denison and Uncompahgre watersheds. So piping and lining ditches, transitioning from flood irrigation to drip or sprinkler irrigation can benefit the watershed overall. It can also help reduce selenium levels, which is a bioaccumulator in fish and wildlife, and that's can play a huge role in improving water quality in the Colorado River. So that's our tie to water quality. My focus generally is on water quantity, how much water is in the system and where. That is of a growing concern because of where we are in the Colorado River system. Not only regionally, our watersheds are being severely impacted by climate change and increasing and continued demands on these watersheds. Our supplies, our precipitation has been dwindling over the past 20 years, and that's caused some real problems for our watersheds. Drying streams, increasing water temperatures obviously affect trout populations that rely on cold, clean, plentiful water for habitat. And so the problems that we're facing here in the Uncompahgre Basin and the Denison Basin are problems that the whole region in the Colorado River system are facing, which is reducing supplies and increasing demand. And the solutions that we're trying to put on the ground here in the Denison Basin are also solutions that we believe will also help solve the problem in the Colorado River system as a whole. So some of that work includes, obviously increasing efficiency, increasing the ability to use water wisely and leaving water in the stream when it's not needed for consumptive uses, finding ways to reduce diversions as a result of crop switching, partial fallowing, split season irrigation practices. Those types of practices are things that we've been exploring over the past 7 years or so. And that's part of my work that keeps me pretty busy in the Denison Basin. We have a few projects that we're studying the effects of reduced irrigation deliveries as a method of leaving water in the stream, but also possibly shepherding water into the Colorado River system main stem, either in the Bureau of Reclamation units like the Aspinall unit or all the way to Lake Powell, so that water can serve as an insurance policy for the state of Colorado and keep us out of more of a crisis situation than we're already in. Obviously, this year has shown that we are again in dire straits in the Colorado River system with declining reservoir levels in Lake Powell and Lake Mead. And as we've all seen lately, the Bureau of Reclamation is reacting to that. And it's unlikely that we're going to have historic precipitation levels that will bring us back to a more normal state. And that's troublesome. So I think that the state of Colorado needs to continue to focus on addressing these water supply issues in a manner that that works for agriculture, works for water users, but also leaves water in the stream. And it's going to be difficult, but the reality is Colorado is very different than it was 100 years ago. We have more people living here, more people relying on the resources, more people expecting water to be in our rivers. And we have more people downstream of us relying on the same flows, and more strains in the Colorado River system in terms of trans-mountain diversions. So nothing's going to be easier. There's not going to be a simple solution. And we really need to be creating solutions that work not only locally for the water users, such as in the Upper Uncompahgre Basin, that might be efficiency or near farm storage or creative water sharing practices. But those solutions also need to be crafted in a way that it addresses our bigger picture, more regional issues on the Colorado River system and downstream. I think a good way for water users in this area to get involved is to reach out to Trout Unlimited, to the Uncompahgre Watershed Partnership, groups like that have their finger on the pulse of water quality and water quantity projects and can help direct them toward either lending a hand. We do a lot of restoration projects, recently planted trees and shrubbery along a cutthroat stream near Crawford. And we hope to be doing some more watershed restoration work like that, both in the Upper Uncompahgre and the Lower Denison Basin throughout this summer, next summer. So if folks are interested in that, we encourage them to reach out. You don't have to be a TU member. You can come out and roll rocks and plant trees with us, or help UWP with their various initiatives. I think that's a good way to get involved. I also think that attending local water meetings, getting involved in your ditch company if you have one, if you have a ditch that flows through your land, or if you have questions about where your water comes from, dig into it, ask questions. Our town of Ridgway has a very unique water system that diverts water out of Beaver Creek into the town of Ridgway. I think that's very interesting, and I hope more people learn more about that, learn more about where their water comes from and how that impacts the environment, how that impacts everybody else. I myself, my domestic water comes from Tri-County, which comes from the Denison River, and I live in Uray County. I think that's very interesting. I also irrigate, so I am on a ditch. I'm on a ditch company, and I try to be active there. And I think it's a good way to engage your neighbors and talk about these problems and realize that we're all part of this bigger basin issue. It isn't something that's happening in the periphery that we don't have control of. And the more we all know about these water problems, I think the better off we're going to be.